Blackhound Optics, accurate, affordable, guaranteed sporting optics that go the distance. Backed by customer service that goes that extra mile. You might remember when Joe reviewed some of the scopes. Great guys, great product, and a great company that is making optics affordable. On top of quality optics, they pay close attention to the customer experience. Did you know their scopes come with mounts? So you don't have to worry about finding one that fits. And we are so excited to have them on as an official partner of the show, and for them at your or ask for them at your local gun store, or find them online at blackhoundoptics.com. We have another call-in guest.
Yeah, we do. Mark Newgent, who's an Orange County Gun Owners board member. Mark, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you doing?
Good, doing well. Thank you so much for serving on the board for Orange County Gun Owners. I appreciate all the hard work that you do. And I believe, are you at the gun show currently?
No, I was there earlier.
You were there? How did it go?
It went very well. It was packed, hours of lines for the ammo. And also people at our booth commented about the diversity of how happy they were that people from all walks of life were exercising their Second Amendment. I personally heard people speaking Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, other, all sorts of diverse crowd liking their constitutional rights. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. And Mark, you're a recent addition to the Orange County Gun Owners board, mainly because you've been around Orange County politics, heavily involved for a while now. In fact, you just ran for office recently. And
I can give you my.
Sure, go for it.
I can give you my elevator pitch. My background is 20 years U.S. Army, military police, captain, commander, anti-terrorism officer, and security advisor in the Pacific region. I was also an infantry paratrooper in 82nd and worked as a Cav Recon as well. Irvine City Finance Advisory Committee member and county commissioner. And I ran for Irvine School Board and Irvine City Council, and I'll be involved again in some fashion or another.
Nice. Fantastic. Appreciate you being so involved in something so important as local politics. So talk about the recall. I know you give us a little recap. Where are we at?
Okay. I have some talking facts I'll just point out to you. The recall needs 1,495,709 valid signatures. That's 12% of the 12,464,000 votes cast in the previous governor election. So far, the Recall Newsom campaign turned over 2.1 million.
Wow.
The Recall Gavin Newsom campaign said they independently validated 1.9 million signatures. If you were to check the government pages, they said the last few days ago they validated 1.1 and change million. So it's looking good. The word I'm getting is it's going to be good, and there's going to be a recall election. If the measure gets on the ballot, political insiders say the voters should expect an election in October or November.
Wow. Okay. So, and what's that going to look like? So, candidates are already starting to run. Do we know if does Newsom does he get to run again, or is it just a thumbs up, thumbs down, or how does that work? That
leads on to my next topic, actually,
sure.
Perfectly. Issue is there will be hundreds of candidates splitting the votes. It's just a wide open election, no primary. So the challenge will be figuring out who has the best chance to win.
What do you think? What will give somebody the best chance of winning?
It's almost like we scripted this. So the next point is we had an OCGO at a central committee meeting when we discussed this in detail, and it takes at least $20 million to win for advertising costs.
Just $20 million. That's it, huh? Will they take a check? I'll write a check today.
Minimum. Well, I can go into detail on that. Even with money, there's no guarantee of a win. You can have all the money in the world and still be a toxic candidate.
Yeah.
And a good example of this is Andy Thornburn. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's worth, I heard, about $100 million.
Yeah.
He spent $3 to $4 million to lose Key Porter in the primary for the 45th Congressional District. Then in 2020, he spent about $1 million against Dr. Ken Williams for OC Board of Education. Mm-hmm. Dr. Ken Williams, who's a friend of mine, spent about $15,000, and Dr. Ken Williams won by a landslide.
So basically, money doesn't always guarantee a win, but I'll tell you, if you don't have, if you want to win, you better get money.
So Mark, let me throw my negativity in here because I do this ever since the election. How confident are you that it's going to be a fair election?
That is such a loaded question. I can tell you that in Orange County, the numbers made sense to me as far as the numbers cast and how the vote was split and how it was spread in Irvine. I'm very confident in Orange County that they do fair elections, they do them right and legal, and the numbers totally made sense to me of how it turned out for the last election.
Okay.
Well, honestly, if you're going to fix it, if you're on the left side of the spectrum, if you're in the Democrat camp and you're going to go spend a bunch of money and time and take risks on rigging an election, you don't do it in California. You don't have to. They're going to go straight Dem down.
I think they're already rigging it. And they're getting away with it.
Yeah. I don't think they have to. Joe has a question.
Well,
Mark, I was going to ask you if Gavin, assuming Gavin Newsom's going to run again, I assume he is, for the recall, is it likely that there's any Democrats that will challenge that or challenge him?
That's a good point. If Democrats do challenge him, that's bad for him because it's going to split the vote on the left side. And that gives, if the Republicans can have this in their party and narrow it down to just one candidate that they all support, they will win.
Well, how likely is that? Because Republicans do that to themselves all the time. Would somebody do it with Newsom?
That's the big question. I don't know. I mean, there's so many personalities that I'm aware of. I can think of 10 governor candidates off the top of my head that I know. So it's how well the party leaders can lead. That's the question. Can they pull everyone together in one direction?
I think that's called control. I think that's called control.
If it depends on how well the party leaders can lead, we're doomed.
Especially on the Republican side.
That's rude.
Yeah,
that's rude, Mark.
I'm sorry. There's so many variables, like everybody is a microcosm of the much larger state or national. And there's just so many variables. Like, I don't think we're going to have enough Republican candidates in Irvine, which swings it to the Republicans to take the city council back. And that is because just knowing the personalities, some of them just don't want to do it anymore. So you have people maybe burned out, medical issues, lack of money. And then you might have someone just all of a sudden became a Bitcoin billionaire and said, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and go spend $50 million to be the governor of California. So it's so unpredictable. And then you have the personalities fighting between the state and the county GOPs on top of all that. And then exacerbating it, you have the college Republicans arguing with each other as well, where they have two factions there, which went from personality difference into ideological separations. So it's complex, lots of layers to it.
So, okay.
It's a non-answer answer.
Yeah, I know, really. So let's take a step back. So there's no more signing. All the signatures are being signed, or all the signatures are being verified and counted right now, right? So there isn't anything else to be done as far as activism. Is that correct?
As far as the recall goes?
Yeah, as far as the recall goes.
Yeah.
Correct. They the deadline has already passed to turn in the signatures. They turned in 2.1 million. The campaign is saying they had 1,964,203 been pre-verified by independent third-party vendor. However, the state, I can only find that they verified, a little over 1.1 million.
And what do you That's an amazing accomplishment, frankly. That they got 2.1 million signatures. I mean, there have been other efforts, not just recalls, but other efforts to gather signatures that weren't nearly as successful. What do you chalk up why was this successful? What do you chalk it up to?
People are upset about the pandemic and having their businesses shut down and everything fall apart.
Right.
And other states were fine.
And keeping his businesses open, going to restaurants, and basically making a law that he doesn't want to abide by.
That's it. I think it's a shared experience. People are upset, and it's a reflection of it.
That's interesting. It's an interesting way of putting it. It's a shared experience where basically everybody had, we've tried to do things as far as, gun owners try to do things like, hey, we're being, picked on or oppressed or whatever. And I think it's hard for some people to relate to because maybe they're not gun owners. But this was a shared experience. Everybody went through this. Democrats, Republicans, declined to state. We all got screwed.
And lied to.
Yep, and it's just post-World War II, everyone had that shared experience, so they made a lot of good decisions for a long time until that generation went away. So this is something we all had to bear together and watch him do what he did, and it was so public. Everyone saw it. think I've heard anyone say they like the guy.
No, and it doesn't help when he calls you a Nazi.
Yeah, I can tell you that's their typical, name calling is their defense.
Sure, that's how they. And I think you hit on something really important. The old guard is not there anymore. The folks that they used to be able to rely on to get all of this stuff passed through, the younger generation, Democrats, are looking at it, I think, with a different look.
Yeah, and remember the Democrats, they also fight amongst themselves worse than the Republicans fight amongst themselves. But when it comes time to face the Republicans, they actually come together.
Right.
That's the big difference, where Republicans are more independent thinking and more dependent on themselves.
Hey,
so that's
you don't want Nancy to come to your house, do you, if you vote the wrong way?
No, of course not.
There you go.
Of course not.
But this was a good example too. The shared experience, I really like that. I'm stealing.
Use that?
I'm going to steal that from you, Mark, because I like that. You're absolutely right. But the other thing is, this was a good example of organizing. People stepping up and organizing and doing things.
And the rest of the states seen this because California is the trendsetter in many, many areas. And I think when the public seen what we did out here, I think that kind of said, hey, if we get ourselves into a situation, we can do the same.
I hope so. Now, Mark, I know you don't have a crystal ball, and this is an extremely difficult question to answer, but how's this going to go? What do you think is going to happen?
I just give you a bunch of what ifs. If this happens, that'll happen. If this happens, that'll happen.
Right.
I'm in this every day. I'm analyzing it, and nothing is ever what it seems. When you get in there, I always tell people things that you think are conspiracy theories totally aren't. Some of these people actually believe this nonsense. And then other things you think are kind of bad are way worse than you think they are. And that's been my experience. Wow. And because some people think, well, it has to be conspiracy theory. They can't be that stupid. I'm like, no, they really are that stupid upon policy.
My wife says they're all aliens, and that's it in a nutshell.
If you're listening in Orange County, go to OCGoNowners.com. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate you.
Great interview, Mark. Great. Keep up the good fight.
Take care. Okay, bye.
All right, folks. Hey, up next, guess who? Sam the Gunman.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.